welcome to the first episode of Daddy Like Talking Golden Tee. I'm Chisholm Woodson, aka screen name Daddy Like, in case you didn't figure that one out. And really looking forward to this. Hope you all enjoy it. I'm going to have fun doing it, and been thinking about it for a long time. I found out very quickly that it's going to be a little bit more difficult and a little bit more of a headache than I originally planned. But it'll be worth it. There'll just be some learning curves. We'll see. This first episode is going to look a little different because I'm using my phone, which is just a lot easier when it's just me. So I don't have to use my mic or these headphones. Yeah, I need the headphones when you're doing the interviews to keep from getting the echoes and all that crap. But I got the white ones and the gold mic. Had to bling it up since I live in a cul-de-sac. Got to represent the sack. Anyway, gonna have a lot of fun, and also, this is in no way meant to compete with Gino's podcast. I love that thing. And every time he puts one out or says they've recorded one, I might check in every 2 hours. Is it out yet? Is it out yet? Is it out yet? And I contacted him, and he was very gracious and supportive and said, no, go for it. Anything that promotes the game. And, also this is going to be a different focus. His is more focused on the power events and, before and after and recapping. And mine's going to be player interviews. Kind of get to know the player, maybe have them share some background and stuff that you might not know, even though you've known the person for all these years. And some off-the-cuff stories. We've seen the interviews that have been done by like magazines and like what was that, ESPN, El Ocho, and they were awesome. But the interviews just kind of felt a little stiff, and I'm sure the players that got interviewed probably felt the same way. And that was probably for two reasons. One, the person being interviewed didn't know the person that was asking them the questions, but more importantly, the person asking the questions didn't know shit about Golden Tee. They were just sent there on assignment to cover it, and it was just, I don't know, kind of awkward. But I mean, they were awesome. Don't get me wrong, but this will be more candid. And since we know each other and I'm friends with everyone, I'm going to be interviewing anyway. It'd be hopefully just like we would be talking if we were just having lunch or at power events, and shooting the shit, in between matches or whatever. So I'm looking down at my little cheat sheet right here. I recorded one of these earlier, and it was it was terrible, and so I kept forgetting what I was going to say, and I didn't have a little cheat sheet, and I was like, what am I doing? And so instead of going and just editing the whole thing, I'm just going to try to do this in one take. I'm sure there'll be some edits along the way, just not as many, but I'm cheating right now. Anyway, let's see. We always did that. I did that too. I did that. Wow, I covered a lot already. This is awesome. All right, that's it. Good night. All right, well, I kind of covered the basics about what it's about. And first guest is going to be Paul Taylor. Ooh, can't wait. Also, my guests are not just going to be top players. Your handicap doesn't mean shit. This is about the community and getting to know each person a little bit. And another thing that I hope that comes of it is people maybe that are on that find out about this, from the fan page or something else, that play Golden Tee and have never been to a power event. And we all know so many of those players that we know would have a blast. and they're, for whatever reason, they're just a little apprehensive. Now maybe they can put some faces and some stories to the names, and they'll be like, this whole group seems like really cool guys, like, and ladies too, very cool girls. um and like, I'll go. I'll give it a whirl, and then they won't feel like that they wouldn't know anyone. They kind of feel like that they could walk up and say, "Hey, Paul, I watched your interview with Daddy, like talking golden tea, and that was awesome." Blah blah blah. It's kind of almost like like a um, what's the term? Not breaking the ice. Yeah, whatever. I'm drawing a blank. You know, that word when you want to say something first time, icebreaker. It just doesn't sound right. All right, onward. um so now we are to the point where we're gonna have our first interview, and that is with me. So at this point, you can just stop the video, and then you can hit subscribe so you can get a notification that the next episode will be out, and then you'll know. Speaking of that, read right there. See that? Subscribe. Hit the button. Be a fan. Then you get all the notifications, and it'd be awesome too. Get this channel rolling. Spread the word. Anyway, so my intro into golden tea. After I graduated from college, went back home to Charlotte, worked for a year. It's kind of miserable, and then told my mom, I was like, I'm gonna go to Colorado and just be a snowboard bum and wait tables or whatever. And she was like, okay, I was gonna do that for 8 months. Here I am in Colorado. However many years later, I went out in '94. Yeah. So then in '96, this pool hall opened, and that was when I was just getting really into pool, and the golden tea machine showed up, and it was like, holy crap, this is fun. And I remember there was a group of us that just loved it, but I mean, we didn't know anything about it, or anyone to show us what to do. So I remember there's a couple of times we get there at 11 in the morning when when all of us didn't have to work, or we didn't want to go up on the mountain. And so the four of us got there at 11 in the morning and then stayed till 2 in the morning just drinking the whole day. And each round would take like literally like 3.5 hours. It was like playing real golf because one of us be hitting a shot and the other three would literally like have their elbows on the deck, like, whoa, what are you going to do here? Oh, nice shot. You almost made that putt. Oh. And then so I was playing it here and there, and then a few years later, when it turned to 4, when it first went online, whatever I think it was. And then all of a sudden I was like, whoa, you mean this game that I like to play, you can now play for prizes online against other people? Well, that scratches me right where I itch. Yeah, let's do some of that. And then I remember the contests were like, if I remember correctly, like 2 weeks long, and it was kind of like playing the daily. Like it would be the same course, with the difference being that each day would be the same setup, and then the next day it would change. So some days were the days that you wanted to play because it was your best score over like the 2 weeks, and so maybe on some days there were a couple holes that were drivable that weren't drivable most of the other days. And so what you do is we would just unplug the phone line, and then you could play the same course for like 3 days, and then eventually the game would warn you to plug the phone back in. And so yeah, that was our hack. And I think the best I ever did, it was broken up into different divisions, and it was like I think I was like in the middle. It was like gold, bronze, and silver, and I was in the middle. I'd somehow gotten into the middle one because I'd done okay on the bottom one, and then like I came in like third, I think. I got like $1,500. That's what I remember. I remember $1,500, and I remember being like on top of the world, and yeah, I was hooked then. And then to see all these names, all the old school names like Dean and Sobey and Bourgeois and um, Tom Paine, was that his name? I never met him. Uh, who are the other big hitters back then? I can't. I'm drawing a blank, and my apologies. I'm forgetting your name. It was only 30 years ago, or something like that. But so anyway, then in the early 2000s, I migrated down to Denver, and um, but started playing again more, kind of here and there. Then EA Sports came out, and then I just adapted to it really quickly, and I got good at that. I qualified for the World Championships. Those were awesome. They were the first year was at the Hard Rock in Vegas. That was awesome. That was an awesome setup. No offense, IT. You guys do a great job too. It's just it was my first World Championships of either one, um, so it really sticks out. Uh, and they did have it set up nice. And and then everyone knows after a couple of years that faded out and went away. And then like Golden Tee started having like worlds or regionals. I went to regionals one year, and then I'm trying to blank about how that was. I remember it was like Whispering Valley, and I had to play Vordal, and like all he played was Whispering, and somehow I beat him. He like put two balls in the water on the same hole. It was like just unbelievable, and then I went in by like one stroke. uh, and then there was that one that was at like the Westgate, I think, where all you had to do was just play like 50 games and you qualify, and there was like 400 people there. That was a weird format, but anyway. So then I was playing on again, off again, and then and when I say on again, off again, I mean I was playing either every day or just a couple times a week or something. I was still playing. I was never one of those things like where I just stopped playing Golden Tee for a year. Um, but then in 2009, I think it was, I was like, I feel like hosting a tournament. I'm gonna see if I can put one together. And the girl I was dating at that time was like, "Yeah, that'd be cool. I'll help out." And so, the first headache is, where do you get the machines? You can't just yank them out of bars, because those bars wouldn't be happy, or that vendor wouldn't be happy, or maybe the vendor would like it if they were getting the coin drop from the tournament. But um, and it just it, it was like, where are we going to get machines? And so the big monster here, I think back then they were called JES, that's now called Entertainment Experts. There were two big ones in Colorado that competed for all the accounts, and then they merged, and now they span over like 7 states, maybe more. I don't know. Their umbrella is gigantic now, and they were the original starters of Club Lucky. Now, I think there might have been more than one vendor that did that. I don't know the history, but I just know that they were somehow involved in Club Lucky. It very high up, like one of the founders. And so the Tournament of Champions, which I never went to, was a month or two after the Denver Open, and so they were the ones who supplied the machines for Tournament of Champions, and they got brand new machines, pedestals, from IT, And so for the Denver Open, I watched them unload them. They came out of the box unopened and set them up so they were brand new. And then after the tournament, after playing on them for a weekend, they put them all back in the boxes and then kept them in storage till they took them to the TOC. So that was cool. We got new machines, and the bar added money, they added money. Um, and so we did that for 2 years. And this at the end of the second year, towards the end of the tournament, Danny Boy came up and was like, "Hey, you know watches?" And I'm like, "Yeah, of course." And I've known Steve for a long time, and uh, he's a pool player too, if y'all didn't know that. And um, Danny Boy was like, "Oh, he's starting a tour, and he wants Denver to be a stop." And I was like, well, "Let me get this straight." So he would come and bring machines and run the tournament, so that when I was playing in the Denver Open, like I have been, I don't have to worry about being in the middle of a match or someone tapping me on the shoulder and going, "Hey, I won. When do I play next?" Like I can just hang out and drink beer and play Golden Tee and have fun the whole weekend. Yeah, sign me up immediately. And so they came out, and then we moved bars because that the first one closed, and then it got sold and turned into something else. And so we found Jackson's, which was directly across the street from Coors Field. It was sweet. Like literally, you could take a baseball from Jackson's and throw it, and it would land on the sidewalk in front of Coors Field. And so we had it there for 3 years, and then Power Events um, dropped that stop because they weren't getting enough of a turnout. You know, it was such a far destination from core core players and stuff. It was also late summer, so it was when people were kind of tired of the courses, which hasn't hurt Nashville, obviously. So you can take that take that as a reason and chuck it out the window. But anyway, it was fun while it lasted, and it was a blast. And so then fast forward. Oh no, don't fast forward yet. Don't fast forward yet. Don't do it. Um, the amount that I would play kind of after that was largely determined by where I lived and how many players there were close to me. And so, like in 2014, where I lived just down the street from me, this bar had like anywhere from 6 to 8 guys that went for happy hour 5 days a week, and they all gambled. And some of them weren't very good, but they'd get spotted strokes. But it was always action, and it was fun. We had two machines, and they were always full every single. And so I played all the time. And then some of those guys moved away from that area, and then I did too. And so if I lived in a spot where there wasn't people to play against competitively head to head, then I would get kind of phased out, and pool is my main passion, although Golden Tee is quickly becoming a very close competitor to that. Oh, and one of the first big tournaments that I went to was the PCC2 in St. Louis at Side Pockets, and I think that was 2008, if I remember correctly. And man, that was so much fun. And they had that auction. They had a live auction and a silent auction for Make a Wish. Oh, and then they brought when the check was given to them, and they had that sick kid get on the mic and thank everyone. Oh God, there wasn't a dry eye in the place. But that was a great tournament. So now, fast forward to 2 years ago, and the Worlds qualifying was going on, and I've been playing a fair amount, but I didn't have any intention of trying to qualify for Worlds. And then, with a couple weeks left, I was like, well, why don't I give it a shot? And then there was 1 week left, or just before 1 week left, and I went home and talked to my fiance, my girlfriend at the time, my fiance now, and I said, "Hey, you know that silly video game, golf game that I play, right? And she was like, yeah, I know. I was like, well, this is the last week to try to qualify for Worlds, and it's going to take a lot of time and some good fortune to make it go well. And she was just instantly was like, "Go for it, do it, get your pass," you know. And I was like, "Okay, but you understand, I can't just go and try for like 2 days. Like I'm not, I'm not one of those guys. I'm gonna have to play all week long, and then even after that, I'm gonna have to have some really good things happen for a couple of games." And she was like, "I know you can do it. Just do it." I was like, "Oh, I love you even more." And so I did, and I got pass and got the last one actually. Um, and and then I went to Worlds, and I was like, well, and I hadn't been to a tournament in a while, and so I was like, you know, I don't really know how I'm gonna fare. Like I didn't have any expectations either way, and and then after the fourth round of qualifying, I was like on pace to make the cut. All I had to do was shoot a 24 on whatever that last course was. Was it Pine or something? I can picture the course. I can't remember the name. It wasn't Forest Hill, was it? I think it was Pine. And I don't know. I like on one hole, I went in the water. I've never gone in the water. It wasn't a tough hole. It was just a normal 6 wood, and it was ridiculous. And it had never done it before. It hit an Invisaleaf on the way down, and then like just dropped in the creek right in front of the green. I was like, "What just happened?" It was very frustrating to say the least. But at least I took away from that going, yeah, I belong here. I mean, I almost made the cut, you know. So, and I've been going to a lot of power events, and um, I've made a fair number of cuts. Missed some that I was uh, very disappointed in, but in Dallas I made a good run in purple. I thought I was going to win that sucker. Um, and I came in third. But anyway, um, and then with boasting inside, about to come right now, in St. Louis just a couple months ago, had my highest qualifier, qualified ninth. That felt good. And then my highest finish ever was the last PCC at, no, not PCC, sorry, the last. What's the Richmond? What were the initials of the Richmond? Oh, NIV, not in Vegas, right? I think that's it. Anyway, the last Richmond tournament, I finished 9th through 12th. I lost on the winner side to Paul Taylor by 1 stroke, and then I lost to Stenmark by, I don't know, more than 1 stroke. But anyway, no shame in losing to those two guys. But anyway, I'm ready to make a deep run at one of these. Everything will click. You know, the one thing I found about these tournaments is that it's not just um, it's it's not just playing well. You need good fortune that something doesn't go well for your opponent. Like you either need to just get fortunate and hole out somewhere where you know it's like, okay, I'm glad that went in, um, or you need your opponent just to, you know, make an uncharacteristic mistake. You know, maybe miss an easy chip or miss a long putt or something. Um, but anyway, and you have to have that happen multiple times to make a deep run. Um, I mean, unless you're one of the top players. I mean, if you're one of the pros, then yeah, what are you gonna do? Their version of making a mistake is completely different than my version of making a mistake. Their version of making a mistake is having a clean round and having a bunch of holes where they burn the edge of the cup and they don't shoot a one or two better. Then that's a travesty for them. And speaking of worlds, I want to show this little thing from the last worlds. Maybe you saw it on the stream if you weren't there, and if you were there, you definitely saw them. Yeah, marquee. Number 20. That's my lucky number. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Is it just me, or does this look like the side of a NASCAR? And now, in the number 20 car, sponsored by Incredible Technologies, Chisholm, Daddy Like Woodson. Yeah, there you go. There's that. I've got all of them for over the years. Since 2008, first pedestal. Got them all. And eventually, they'll go up on the wall here in the pool room. Well, I guess you can also call it a golden tea room now. But, yeah, just been, I don't know, lazy. Some are in frame, some aren't. Just, oh well, haven't done it yet, but it's coming. Now, that is one bummer thing about the PGA game. I will say, I love the PGA game. PGA courses, not so much. Boring to play. But the cabinet and the way it plays, I love. Yes, it was a little bit of a learning curve, and some people don't like it. They're not, to each their own. I happen to love it. But the one thing I'm bummed about, and I've confirmed this with IT, they are not doing, like, each year when the courses come out, what they have right now that just says PGA on it, and you notice it doesn't say a year. They're never changing it. They didn't, in this email I got, it didn't say we're not changing it this year. It says no time. I can't remember I'm paraphrasing, but it says, basically they said we're never sending up another marquee with the yearly updates of the courses. That's a bummer. I thought it was a good selling point, because you could walk in, you could see which machines had the update and which ones didn't. But I understand. I mean, they got thousands of machines, so think how much money they're going to save by not printing those up. I mean, it's not, because it's not a piece of paper. If you haven't felt one of these, you can hear that. This thing that couldn't have been cheap to print. I mean, I don't know how much it is, but oh well, it's not a concern anymore. Another thing that will be no longer, that was a really cool thing, I thought, are player cards. What? It's been so much better if I had my wallet. Player cards. Soon to be a lost, gone thing like a magic trick. And these things are cool, they're memories and cool graphics, and I mean, even the normal Golden Tee ones, they change them up and stuff. But I've got them all. Every tournament I've been to that's issued one of these, I have one. And, we're not going to need them anymore. And eventually, I don't know when, but at some point, Power Events will have to switch to PGA games. And therefore, they're not going to be issuing player cards anymore. But, yeah, oh well. What are you going to do? Well, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to take all the ones I have, and I'm going to put them in a frame, and I'm going to put them on a wall here in the pool room. And then when my friends come over to play pool, they'll go, "Hey, what's that?" And I'll go, "It's a Golden Tee thing. You wouldn't understand." Yeah, that's right. Well, that wraps up episode 1 of Daddy Like Talking Golden Tee. Stay tuned for the next one with Paul Taylor. It's going to be great. Can't wait. Fingers crossed we don't have any technical difficulties. But hopefully it'll be out in just a few days. Until then, hit 'em straight.